The floors are slippery. The roads are slippery. This is not the time to test your driving skills. This is the time for you to employ extra caution as you go to work. And for those of you who are able to work from home, cover up, have a nice cup of tea or coffee, whatever meets your fancy or satisfies your fancy. But throughout the course of the day, we'll do the best we can to make sure that you have access to all the information, whether or not you're able to leave your house. Welcome to another episode of Trends in the Papers, live on mainland 98.3 FM. We are the station that brings to the fore the pulse of the nation, I dare say. It's another brand new day. It's another opportunity to dig deep into the stories that are making the headline and, of course, shaping Nigeria's socio-political landscape. And today's not just like every other day. We are shining a spotlight on a significant chapter in Nigeria's history, the 2-year presidency of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. It's a time of emerging challenges, and I struggled because I was trying to put the right words together, but it is a time of emerging challenges. President Tinubu has embarked on a journey that has stirred very passionate discussions across the country, from his bold approach to economic reforms to his diplomatic relations, the most recent being the ECOWAS summit that is currently holding in Lagos. Their partner countries initiative that involves security. President Tinubu's leadership definitely has sparked a lot of interest, and we're going to explore how his policies resonates with the aspirations of the millions of Nigerians and the controversies that have risen along the way. So we're going to dissect recent articles from our renowned newspapers, the Punch, Guardian and the Vanguard newspaper. I would also touch on some of President Tinubu's ambitious plans to revitalize the economy, to address unemployment, to tackle our power supply issues. And throughout the course of the day and across various programs, we would also analyze public sentiment. I think that's the most important part of the discourse, and explore diverse opinions from various sectors. Business leaders would have political analysts that would join us as well, and we would hear from everyday citizens. It will capture almost all the perspective that encapsulates the presidency in 2 years thus far. So prepare yourself, starting from this very moment, as we move through the most pressing narrative, the opinions, and the future predictions surrounding President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration. But for now, it's Trends in the Papers, and as a colleague of mine would say, let's get right into it. Fᴜʟʟᴏ will be joining us in just a few seconds. Let's give it some time so that we can't start looking at the papers, although the front pages mostly just speaks about the president and the president's speech for his 2nd year anniversary. We're so lucky because the papers have sort of summarized the essence of that particular speech. That speech was celebrating with Nigerians and highlighting some of the things that this administration has been able to do in 2 years within the different sectors. And so we have a summary of that. That is mostly what the front pages constitute. And we would look at this achievement that has been highlighted and then have Fᴜʟʟᴏ, our in-house analyst who would be joining us very soon, talk about whether or not these achievements truly are worthy of note, or there are other metrics that should be used in measuring the successes of this administration in the past 24 months. Don't forget that this is all about you, which is why we're streaming live on Facebook and on YouTube. So we would like for you to join us so that you can comment in real time. Luckily, it's Open Mic Thursday, so you're not restricted to one certain story. You're allowed to express your views on the presidency in 24 months. Fᴜʟʟᴏ, how are you doing this morning?
Good morning, Sage. I'm good. The wet Thursday morning.
Yes.
The rain I think it's been like 3-4 hours now.
Yes.
It's been pouring. It's okay. I'm sure there are people who like it cold out there. You know.
I'm not among.
You're not.
I'm not among.
But for people who work in different parts of Lagos who have to be home very early, it's not the best of the morning, I'm sure, for a lot of them. You know, for those that would have to struggle to get into a commercial vehicle, you know what it means.
Yeah.
You know, struggle through that. There are also people who, for example, live in very interior parts of town that they probably have to do for a bike, you know, or get the Keke Marwa to get to their bus stop. So you have traffic in a lot of parts of Lagos as we speak. You know, but it's a retreat, it's a ritual, it's a yearly thing. The seasons are here, there's nothing we can really do about it.
Well, happy anniversary, Fuad.
Which one is university?
You don't know.
You have started.
We have happy anniversary. Say same to you.
Yeah, what's that?
No, don't say same to me. Say thank you.
What's that? I need to know what university is.
2 years in office. Happy anniversary.
Oh.
It wasn't
Okay,
so. Fine, if I give you blue. You don't know that today is.
I know, but I didn't know that something had come up, to create, a word for celebration of years of
Twitter people. They would always come up with something. I found it really funny.
It's 2 years already.
It is 2 years. Interesting. I know.
How time flies. Hey, how time flies. But
we're benefited from a public holiday for us. So I don't know why you're concerned about the public holiday.
For people who enjoy public holidays, there are people who just they don't give us holidays. Today will be made.
It's been changed. It's been changed. I believe former President Muhammadu Buhari made sure of that. Well, let's talk about the most significant subject matter of the day. 2 years of the renewed Hope administration. Conversations have actually started since Monday. We have different programs that have been doing slow analysis. I did a sectorial review yesterday. I had a guest also on Midweek Politics. We had Fᴜʟʟᴏᴜ and ᴜᴜᴜ talk about the different policies of this government across different sectors, particularly security. And I believe that there is a specialized program this evening at 4 p.m. We would have all the men in the room analyzing the 2 years of the renewed Hope administration, what they've been able to do, what they need to do more, and the things they've just outrightly been unable to achieve. Now, the president, of course, released a speech talking about all the things he has been able to achieve, admonishing Nigerians to stay strong, to believe in him. And the papers this morning highlights or summarizes the core of what this administration believes it has been able to achieve. And if you would allow me the opportunity to just read out this very summarized version of all the achievement that this administration believes they've been able to get in the last 2 years. Now, they say that there's been over 900,000 beneficiaries of the Presidential Loan and Grant Scheme. In 2 years, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration have had over 300,000 beneficiaries of the student loan scheme, over $10 billion for 700 kilometers of superhighway, 3.84% GDP growth in Q4 of 2024, which is the highest in 3 years, 70,000 naira minimum wage payment, over 13,500 terrorists eliminated, over $50 billion in new FDI commitment. Net foreign exchange reserves up from $3.99 billion in 2023 to $23.11 billion in 2024. Over $8 billion in new oil and gas investment unlocked, 4 new landmark tax bills, 5 new regional development commissions, and over $800 million realized in processing investment in solid minerals in 2024. This is how much they believe they've been able to achieve in 2 years. Fuad, do you agree with this achievement, this summary of achievement, or do you think that it might have been a tad exaggerated? What are your opinions?
Well, I don't know. I don't think there's anything that has been exaggerated here.
Okay.
The question should be the significance of this achievement. Okay. In the area of this, I'm sure these are achievements that the government will be able to defend. Again, I'm going to question the student loan, so-called foreign direct investment, the clearing of forex backlogs. Those are things that I think have been well documented, and I don't think there's any exaggeration at all to that. But the question is, what is the significance of all of that to the ordinary Nigerian out there? How has that translated to better living? How has that impacted the quality of living of Nigerians, if you understand what I'm saying? How has it impacted the living standards of ordinary Nigerians? Because again, at the end of the day, government policies that comes in the form of these listed achievements are not just supposed to be documented. It's supposed to speak to the reality of the people in terms of the quality of their living standards, if you understand what I'm saying. So the government can do all of this enumeration. They can do this listing of what they consider as achievements of the government. But the people will sit back and say, oh, you said you've done all of this, but how has it impacted our lives? So that's the question that I'm sure a lot of Nigerians will be asking themselves this morning. So the list is there for everybody to see. But I'm sure that if you put that against the promises of the government before they came in 2023, I'm sure there will still be a lot of questions as to whether the government has under-delivered on its promises, if you understand what I'm saying. Because again, the government, look, there were clear promises that the government made to Nigerians about, impacting their lives. We're going to make things better for you. At some point, even the president said, let the poor breathe. Don't suffocate them. If you understand what I'm saying. So, have they delivered on their promises? Do we have a case of under-delivery? Have they under-delivered on their promises? And for what they have listed as their achievements, how impactful have those achievements been, to the living standards of ordinary Nigerians? Those are the questions that come to mind this morning for me.
All right. I believe that it will be up to Nigerians really to do the evaluation, and I'm glad that you had highlighted, well, these are things that I'm sure if asked to prove, they would be able to prove it. But the most significant question here is laudable achievement on their part, but in what way has this manifested in the life of the average Nigerian? And so I asked you the question, Fuad. Most of these plans are usually long-term plans. These are not mid-term or short-term plans. So do you believe that maybe extra time is what they need before we start to see the manifestation of this achievement that has been listed, and that's why we're yet to see it manifest in the day-to-day life of the average Nigerian?
Well, governance is continuum. It's not something that ends. So far, like a short-term, medium-term, and long-term plan. So every plan of government cannot be long-term. If you understand what I'm saying, that's why you see that even the United Nations have created rest of the people that are alive today. It has to be sustainable. It means that you have to take care of today, take care of tomorrow, and that of the future. So government plans have to come tripartite. It has to be 3 steps. What are the short-term plans? What are their medium-term plans? And what are their long-term plans? So all of these achievements cannot be long-term. Or we probably have to now evaluate the performance of the government on what their short-term plans were, what were their medium-term plans, and what were their long-term plans. We can't continue to say, oh, people have to be patient. These things were there. You cannot, for example, continue to talk about, CNG, for example, where there are no clear-cut plans on how to deal with the immediate needs of Nigerians when it comes to transportation, refined petroleum products, and what have you. So it's a complex issue, really, for me. If you understand where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
Extremely complex. It's also difficult for me to continue to tell Nigerians to be patient. Nigerians are the most patient set of people. This Fourth Republic is over 25 years of sustained democracy. Transition after transition, government after government, it's always the same story. Same story of, let's be patient, things are going to get better, there's nothing magical about governance, it's not going to happen by magic and what have you. But Nigerians have been very patient, they've always waited, they know that it's not about magic, but nothing has changed. It is sad that, look, the same campaign promises, the things that were listed in the campaign promise of 1999 are still the campaign items you will see amongst politicians in 2027. Nothing has changed. It's still the story of we're going to fix roads, we're going to fix the healthcare, we're going to fix our educational challenges, power will be fixed. And it's still the same old story. It keeps coming and coming and coming. We'll tackle insecurity. And the people keep waiting. It's a 4 years ritual. They go to the polls, surrender their mandate to people who promise to make their lives better, and they keep people they vote for. They see the people who they submit their own mandate to, not waiting to get anything they want. They get what they want immediately. They know how to quickly take care of themselves. They know how to sleep their own children, their cronies and family members through the system to take care of them. If they want a job, they know how to get it. They reserve the juicy job for their own people and their children. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
The contract, they know how to get them. As legislators, if they need SUV, they get it quickly. They know how to document very fraudulent constituency projects to make a lot of money out of the system. So it is the people they keep telling to wait. They know how to take care of themselves. They want a jet, to keep promising them heaven and earth without doing anything. So it will be left for the presidency to talk about what their short-term plans were, their medium-term plans, and their long-term plans, and how well they've been able to deliver on those plans and promises. It's there for them to tell Nigerians what they've been able to do with the mandate the people gave to them.
Well,
my own evaluation. Yes, I'm with you.
You say that you might not be able to tell Nigerians to be patient, but former President Muhammadu Buhari actually has insinuated exactly that. He says to manage our expectations. Those are his words. And they should not be derailed by nettlesome domestic politics. So here's the former president saying, don't allow domestic politics interfere with governance. And we as Nigerians ourselves should manage our expectations from the government, because reforms achieve success gradually and not overnight. In the context of politics, do you believe that 2 years is still overnight and Nigerians should please started to interfere with governance?
First and foremost, this statement by the former president was signed by Garba Shehu.
Yes, his spokesperson.
And so, because of my training, when statements are issued on behalf of leaders, I get a bit. I would rather have loved if it was a direct interview with the former president, and if this were his exact words.
Fuad, your spokesman is supposed to. That's what he is. He speaks your mind, isn't that? Can your spokesman put out a statement that you have not approved? I mean, I don't know how it works, but I believe whatever you put out, whoever you're speaking for must approve it. Yes.
Of course, yes, I agree with you. But a lot of times these statements are issued on behalf of these guys, and it doesn't really come from the heart. I don't know.
Okay.
Sometimes some of these things are just mere, diplomatic tools.
Okay.
It's 2 years of the Bola Tinubu presidency. It's important that former President Buhari issues a statement, and then you have this statement issued. Like I said, yes, of course, we have to attribute this statement to him because it was signed by him, even though it was issued by a spokesperson. But it would have been nice, for example, to know what the former president means when he says Nigerians should manage their expectations. I was hoping that there will be more details, whether to say, these guys cannot deliver, so don't expect them to deliver on their promises to you, or don't expect too much for now. It might take time for these things to actually materialize into, what you guys are expecting. So manage your expectations for me is good. So that's number one. Number two is this issue of time. It takes time. What time are we talking about now? This is the same former president that had 8 years, who came with a lot of promises. Insecurity, the economy, foreign exchange issues, and for 8 years, there was nothing really. Either was one president that failed a lot of Nigerians, that disappointed a lot of Nigerians. It has to be said it was President Buhari, a new sheriff in town, a lot of talk about how things were going to change under him. Is zero tolerance to corruption what did we get for 8 years? Now we have 2 years, and are you going to blame Nigerians for getting agitated, for not wanting to wait before they begin to tell the government the real truth about their situation? They waited for 8 years for Buhari to turn things around for them. Did he do anything? Look at the issue of insecurity. He came in, we thought, a former general was coming in to make things better for the people. What did he do? What was his record in the area of insecurity? And now Nigerians should manage their expectations. Nigerians should be patient, things take time. Where he had 8 years, 8 solid years. And now 2 years. Add 2 years to 8 years. See, that's 10 years put together. So when will we get the dividends of democracy? When will they forbid that? Remember that it's PDP 16 years. And for 8 years, the Buhari government were blaming what's it called, the PDP. 16 years of PDP. 16 years of PDP. Now 10 years of APC, we still have to be patient. Now 4 years mandate to be upon us to vote for, for the president or another president. And so we should just keep waiting. That's why I'm saying that it would have been nice if this was a direct interview with the former president, so I will know what to say. Because I know that when statements are issued sometimes, it's just to fulfill all righteousness. But I'm saying that Nigerians have waited for too long to get the dividends of democracy, and nothing has come for a lot of Nigerians, majority of Nigerians. Instead, what have they gotten? Poverty, suffering, anguish, pain, terrible hospitals, poor schools, poor infrastructure. And so we should continue to wait. Nigerians should continue to wait. Wait till when? What is the timeline? Maybe they should tell us the timeline. But don't worry, wait for the next 50 years. Things will change. Maybe that's what they are telling us. I knew my age when Buhari came into power. I know my age now. You can remove 10 years, two from your age and understand what I mean. So you feel the pain I'm feeling now.
I was a teenager at the time, right? So maybe at that time I didn't really understand it.
So the man that ruled the country with a lot of promises when you were a teenager, I still telling you that, you should wait till it doesn't happen like that. Wait till when? Precisely.
It still trends in the papers on Milan 98.3 FM. The bulk of the story or the analysis is going to be about the 2 years in office of the renewed Hope administration, the things they say they've been able to do, and the feedback that we've been getting from those within the political space and him. We do have Archbishop or Emeritus of the Catholic Archdiocese in Abuja, Cardinal John Onyekan, who is not very pleased with the standard of living of Nigerians. The Guardian tells us that Living Tinubu-led administration saying that the standard of living of Nigerians had crashed considerably in the last 2 years under the watch of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu. He asserted that if the president continues like this for the rest of his term, if we have a free and fair election, he will not win. Speaking to journalists, he did say that the worsening economic hardship in the country and he called President Bola Tinubu to make life as livable as possible for Nigerian. He says that you've already won. The Supreme Court has told us that you've won, so you do not need all of this. Focus now on governance. That was his point. So the Archbishop is of the opinion that you're still spending so much time, almost like you're trying to prove to us that you won the election. The Supreme Court says you won, and everybody has moved on from it. So rather than consistently try to prove to us that you won the election, why not use that same energy to govern the people? And he says that if we have a free and fair election based on the performance of this administration in 2 years, they will not win the election.
Well, that's from Cardinal Onyekan. It's difficult for anyone, maybe anyone who is really passionate about the dividends of democracy for ordinary Nigerians to fault what the Cardinal has said, Cardinal Onyekan. Basically what he's saying is that, look, the leading standards of the people have gotten worse off since this government came into power 2 years ago. And that, look, if we had a proper electoral system, a proper one, where we can guarantee free, fair, and credible elections, President Bola Ahmed Tinubu will never win in 2027. And look, for politicians, they know that that's a statement of fact. And that's why you can see that there seems to be this desperate rally to bring in, political class into one fold. And that's why you see that a lot of times, even when so-called politicians talk about winning in 2027, they will just tell you, I'm going to win, I will win. That's what they will tell you, will win in 2027. How do you want to win? So they take away the people factor from the winning formula. It's all about whatever arrangement they want to put in place. And that's why some of us are not too enthusiastic about the prospects of the next election in 2027. To remember, I've always called for electoral reform before we can begin to talk about holding these people to account. Getting a second term naturally, it's supposed to be some form of referendum on the performance of the ruling government. That is if you have an electoral process that can guarantee free, fair, and credible elections. But we don't have that. We don't need to deceive ourselves. So that's why you see that the politicians understand that, look, the people may not really matter. And so what they need is to get those guys who have enough resources to be able to, mobilize. And mobilization in this context now is quote and unquote, to ensure that, they are able to retain power. How they do, I doubt it. So, again, we hope that, President Bola, there's a part of the story, if you read it very well, where Cardinal Onyeko was telling the president, listen more to the people, not these people that are surrounding you. Can you please chase the politicians away for some time? Let them go. Let the president feel the pulse of the people. Talk to the people. Get the feelers from the people. Not people who are just mere psychophants, political jobbers, basically, who will never tell the president the truth. Because these are politicians who live in a bubble. Their reality is completely different from that of the ordinary people. And so to them, this is the president, look, see, don't worry, one day I will guys, just take you to meetings of politicians. One of these, they will just go there, you sit down there for like maybe 1 hour and listen to what they tell themselves. These are people who don't tell themselves the truth. They just, half of the time, they are just there. It's all about psychophancy. And so the president should listen to Cardinal Onyeko, who is telling him, listen to the people, not the politicians, the political jobbers, the psychophants who are going to call you to tell you that, Mr. President, you are doing well. You know, by Sağᴇᴇ said something when they said, do you know that eye service is also part of government service? The eye service, if you know Sabiam, you know free survival inside this arrangement of politics. You must be able to do that eye service. Mr. President, I want to cut down this tree. We have to cut it down. It's a security threat. Mr. President tells them, maybe we should leave the tree because it beautifies the place. Yes, it's true, sir. Let's leave the tree. It creates nature for us. It's all correct, sir. Now politicians do that because of what they want to get. Mr. President, again, can you please, sir, listen to the people, the cries of the people?
Well, the Archbishop actually says, and I'm reading verbatim, that my advice for the president is to find ways and means of finding out what Nigeria is actually going through, but not from those around him who are always praising him to the skies. He should also know how families are managing with 30,000 naira salary a month. Since it is the people he should serve, he should do more to raise the level of well-being of Nigerians. I don't think we are unfair to the government if we say that in the last 2 years, our level of well-being has been crashed considerably. End of quote. I just read in part where he says that there are Nigerians who are having a hard time, and you should not just take your appraisal from those who are around you. You should listen to the people. They are the ones who would tell you what your administration or how your administration has affected them in the last 2 years. Let's move on to another story. Away from the 2-year anniversary of the renewed Hope administration, there are other things that are playing out. Emefiele, of course, and his 753 housing unit estate, the one that has been put up for auctioning that through the government portal. Now, Emefiele appeals final forfeiture order of 753 housing unit estate. Former Central Bank of Nigeria Governor Godwin Emefiele has petitioned the Court of Appeal in Abuja to overturn a judgment granting the government full control of a substantial estate in Abuja comprising. Now, initially, the estate was linked to another unnamed former government official. However, Emefiele, through his legal representation, A.M. Kotoye, contend that he ought to have been involved in the proceedings as he holds an interest in the property. He is now seeking the appeal court reversal of the lower court ruling. I am unaware of the forfeiture, Emefiele asserts. He informed the court that the EFCC published the interim forfeiture notice in an obscure section of the newspaper, making it very difficult to dictate. He also explained that he was simultaneously managing 3 criminal cases in both Abuja and Lagos, and it hindered his ability to notice the publication. He accused the EFCC of deliberately concealing the forfeiture case from him, despite their ongoing engagement with him on order charges. But the trial court dismissed his claim, ruling that the EFCC had followed due process and that the newspaper notice was sufficient. So Fuad, Emefiele is saying that he didn't know about the forfeiture. As I said, these properties are going to be auctioned. They're going to do an integrity test. They're going to auction it through a secure government of a newspaper. They knew that he was inundated with his multiple cases in court, and so he had no idea what they were doing. But the trial court says properties. What?
I don't know why China kept coming to my mind as I was reading the story this morning. Just think, China just kept coming.
What about China? What about China? What
I
about
don't
China?
know. That's what I'm saying. As I was reading the story, China just kept coming to my mind. China, immediately, forfeiture, property, China. There was no China in the story, but I kept seeing China.
Prophesy.
Public official, see, a CBN governor, now claiming that, no, you can't take these properties away from you.
China will take.
See, what are we talking about here?
China will take everything from you, including the clothes you are wearing in court.
Strip him naked from that court, and maybe from there, he will carry his head away. But here we are. We say we run a constitutional democracy. People have rights to challenge some of this. Because again, what is being said here is that, look, Emefiele has now agreed. You know, before, the information was that, look, he was linked to an unnamed government official. So as it is now, Emefiele is confirming. Yeah, he did as investment, in that particular estate. Whether he owns everything or not, we don't know. But most likely, from the way the case is going, he might just be the owner of the entire thing. I remember I told you that, it beats me completely. How one man would have been able to put up that entire investment. We're talking about 753,000 euros, or to float an estate. And like I was explaining to you the last time, it starts by, yes, you acquire the land, get all your documents right, and then you start by saying, okay, I want to build houses in this estate as off-takers who begin to pay, and as they are paying, you are building the houses for them. But for these properties, the company that floated the estate would have also come out to say, it is not one man that put the money for all these properties down. These are subscribers who have been paying. These are their records. You understand what I'm saying? But nothing happened. Nobody came up. And you can see that on the case, it is still a message saying that, no, the forfeiture must not stand. So the question is it not, you see, like I said, we have to manage what we say on this issue. But I'm also seeing, as I was seeing China, I was also seeing mental health problems somewhere. So as I was seeing China, I was seeing a clear case of mental health problem somewhere. Even if the system is that loose, for heaven's sake, 753,000 units.
Well, I mean, his legal counsel says that he holds an interest in the property.
What is the level of interest?
It doesn't that he's the owner. He said that he holds an interest, perhaps.
Yeah,
it doesn't say he's a stakeholder.
Can you now see why I'm seeing China?
He holds interest. It doesn't that he's the owner of the property, what? He just has interest in the property.
But he doesn't want the forfeiture to start.
Yeah, perhaps.
Yeah. It's just interest. Maybe you.
Well, it's interest.
Yes, yeah. See, and we have to also check our system. How porous is our system made that allows for this level of corruption? Because whether you like it or not, the situation in the estate in itself shows that there was something fishy. The houses have been abandoned for years, left to decay. I told you that, look, we're only talking about Emefiele because, again, he probably fell on the wrong side of government interest. What about people, some of them who are still in government today, some of them who are still in politics? Some of them have been there for years. They built them. Nobody's occupying them. Services are being run. And they're just there left empty. A lot of the properties are there. I'm telling you, say. If you go to Abuja, the same story. So we need to probably look at ourselves too and say, how porous, how poor, how loose is our system that allows for this level of, rape on the common patrimony of the Nigerian people.
Well, we'll give you more information as we get it. It is, we can't talk about the case in its entirety. That will be sub judice, but we're just giving you the information as put forward by the newspapers. The Punch, to be precise, it still trends in the papers on President Bola Ahmed Tinubu as he celebrates his 2-year anniversary. But there are other stories like the one reported in the Punch. Kanu given presidential treatment, not assaulted in custody, says the Wednesday insisted that the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, was not assaulted but given presidential presidential treatment in custody. The DSS operative
It drives an escalate.
Mr. CCC stated this during the resumed terrorism trial of Kanu before the Federal High Court in Abuja. Wednesday proceedings centered on a trial within trial to ascertain whether or not the DSS obtained Kanu's statement under coercion, and Justice James Omotosho had ordered the trial within trial to address the admissibility of Kanu's statement following his claims that he made statements under duress in October and in November 2015. Fad, if you look at the enactments regarding the anti-torture laws that we have about 7 of those. Information obtained under duress is not admissible in court, and in fact they insist that every interrogation session should be recorded. Nobody should be assaulted. Confession gotten under duress is not admissible in court. And Nnamdi Kanu had claimed that some of the statements and confessions he made in October and November of 2015, the security operative who made the statement that he was being treated was given presidential treatment, is testifying that not once has he been assaulted in their custody. They treat him like.
Because again, we can't really discuss the merits of the case. It's a case in court. It's a case that also has a lot of ethnic coloration, a lot of sentiments and bias around it. It's a case that is also, has a lot of security implications too, especially for insecurity and security in parts of the southeast of Nigeria. Like, that's supposed to be an exaggeration, or they were just joking really about it. Unless we get an explanation as to what the DSS means by presidential treatment. Maybe it drives an escalate.
Maybe not in the literal term. Maybe not in the literal term of the word, Fuad. Maybe not. Maybe
they should have just said, look. They should have just said, no, we are not
torturing him.
We are not torturing him. It's under proper condition. He's well fed. He has all his rights respected. And use the word, he gets presidential treatment. That's too exaggerating for me. You understand what I'm saying? And it takes away from whatever information they probably were trying to pass on how he's being treated in custody. But I would still say that I think the Nnamdi Kanu case has gotten to the point where maybe we should be looking for a political solution. A lot of mistakes have been made, a lot of errors. I've always said it on the show. Nnamdi Kanu, I'm sure, also made a lot of mistakes, and I'm sure in his own quiet moments he would have probably told himself, maybe I should have done better. Yes, there might be genuine causes, genuine reasons for agitation. Oh, you think the rights of your people are being violated. You think that, look, equality and all of those issues have not been done properly for the people of the South. But you can't be calling for insurrection. You can't be pushing people to take arms against the state. You would expect the government to react. And a lot of his takes are out there, a lot of the things he has said in the past. No matter what you have against the government, you should always never, end of the day, the question is, where do we go from here? This is a case that has been going for how many years now? Can there be a better way to settle this in the Kanu matter? I think so. I think that's where the idea of a political solution keeps coming to my head. But again, the ruling government know better, and the Kanu and his lawyers know better. The politicians in the Southeast are leaders of thought in that region.
President, the Punch tells us that manufacturers gasp under energy credit burden as reform, but Muda Yusuf especially has highlighted. He's the director of the Center suffered severe vulnerabilities due to the reform introduced by this particular administration. You know that industries are poor performance when it comes to manufacturing because of how vulnerable that particular sector is. Now, whilst this administration believe they've done a great job in managing our finance, also, but with really impacted. See, bottom line, they are going through a very difficult time at the moment. They are not having fun at all with the reforms of this administration.
Okay, so that says it all too. In the area of the manufacturing sector, the government says, "Oh, we've done well. We've been saving energy, cost of energy,
high interest rates,
cost of production, high interest rates, taxes, tariffs." The industry is gasping for breath. And if manufacturers tell you they are gasping for breath, see, look, anybody in the manufacturing sector today will tell you that, look, this is the worst they've ever had in the last 2 decades. I'm telling you, that's why you have a lot of manufacturers closing shop and leaving the country. Yesterday I was supposed to buy a drug, and it's the usual, there's cold out there, so I was looking for something for cold. And the pharmacist, no company has been able to produce anything that is as efficient as that drug. And it's not just GSK. Many pharma companies have left in different sectors of the country. The local manufacturers are just hanging by the cliff, a lot of them. Even when they manage to produce, because the cost of production has gone through the roof, a lot of the products are too expensive for people to buy, especially people whose income have been dwindling consistently. So the products are stay too long also on the shelf. Nobody's buying. So the bottom line for a lot of the manufacturing companies have gone completely dry, if not out of extinction. And then you have a government that tells you the African reform is working for who and who now. See, where are the reforms working?
I need you to manage your expectations, okay?
You should not be out.
You said manage your
If he was the one that was saying it one-on-one, I would have known what to say. Buhari will tell us to manage our expectation and be patient. Buhari, 8 years.
Fuad, we're out
8 years that even this coins that we've been doing before. We've not been managing our expectation.
Let's move away from that story. We have just 2 minutes before we have to jet out of the studio. Very disturbing story here, Fuad, and we can close with this one. Speed Darlington under investigation over viral video confession, says it's a publicity stunt to promote his new song. Now, the Lagos State Domestic and Sexual Violence Agency and the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Person have commenced investigation into the controversial rapper Darlington Okoye, popularly known as Speed Darlington, following a viral Instagram live video which he claims to have defiled a 15-year-old girl. In a video, he alleged encounter with the 15-year-old and said it resulted in bloodied sheets in an unknown hotel. And now LSDSVA has condemned the incident, describing it as disturbing, although there's still questions about the jurisdiction because they don't know what part of the country it happened. If it didn't happen in Lagos, they might not be able to get on it fully, but they are investigating it. And he has responded and said it was just a publicity stunt to promote his new song. He was on Instagram Live, and he claimed that he had had a sexual encounter with a 15-year-old girl. She was a virgin. She bloodied the sheets, and then he says that he can't imagine working in a hotel where he has to wash the bloodied sheets after a sexual encounter with a 15-year-old girl.
Well, I know that mere statements cannot make one completely culpable of an offense unless you are caught in the act or there's enough evidence to show that whatever he was saying actually happened. A lot of these guys are actually very responsible.
Do you know why they're this suspicious of him, Fuad? About 2 years ago, he had an encounter with one of his neighbors who had accused him of texting her 16-year-old daughter inappropriately.
Now he's saying, see? And now he's even saying, it's a publicity stunt. And I think if it's not, again, I'm sure there will be a lot of investigation as to whether somebody's going to come out somewhere. A 15-year-old will come out somewhere to say, look, I was this person was talking about. Maybe so that there can be serious case against it if what he said is true. Because a 15-year-old is a minor.
Minors don't give
But then the issue of public decency and obscenity, I think there can still be a case against it. Because the fact that you have access to social media does not mean you should be completely crazy about the things you put out there. Okay, what he was saying, was it to encourage more people to go out there to continue to defy 15-year-olds? And look at the graphic situation he was trying to paint. These are guys that, again, there's substance abuse on one side. When they go on those things, they just begin to say nonsense. And that's why there are people who think we should regulate social media. Yes, we understand that, look, maybe for political considerations, but in half of the things these guys put on social media. And I think it should continue. It must be investigated, really. Who knows? We may just have a pedophile to deal with.
Fuad, that's all we can take for this morning. Thank you so very much for your analysis. We appreciate you as always. We're going to take a break. It's Open Mic Thursday, so you can tell us which one of these stories have caught your attention. Lola will be back.